Wow, I am extremely sorry, everybody. I literally just spent the last 6 minutes talking to myself. I thought I was live, and I was not. But we're live now. Okay, well, welcome everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and start over. I'm very sorry. I guess some of you must have left. Yeah, all right. Well, lesson learned there. I did not click the go live button. Welcome everybody. Let's go ahead and do this take 2 here once again. Well, I'm going to go ahead and go through the list here to greet everybody. So Erica Alexandria, great to see you. Afternoon, cosmic folks, says Erica. Great to see you here as always. Nina, great to see you as well. Nina says, feels like home. I love it. And that's to the question that I asked everyone here, which is, how are you enjoying the Mercury and Mars retrograde? So if you can let me know in the comment section how you are enjoying, or perhaps not enjoying, maybe it's a little bit more difficult for you, the Mercury and Mars retrograde. Let me know in the comment section and I'll share that with the community here, and we can get a little bit more of a sense of how all of us are experiencing the energies. I mean, I still can't get over that. I literally just spent the past 6 minutes talking to myself because I went on this whole dialogue about Mars retrograde, and actually I answered your question, Christine, about the difficult placements, which I'm gonna of course go back over here and answer now as well. But hello everybody, welcome to the live chat. Again, sorry it took so long for me to go live, but it's great to see most of you are still here, so that's really good. All right, so Nina says, yeah, in regards to the question about Mercury and Mars retrograde, she says, I was born Mars retrograde, so it feels very familiar. And yeah, that's great, Nina. For anyone who has retrogrades in their chart, Mercury, Mars, Venus retrograde in particular, when those planets go retrograde in the sky, it usually will feel like the energy actually starts to move forward for you. So whereas everyone else might be having perhaps difficulty reflecting, going over things, reevaluating things, if you are that retrograde, in this case, if you have Mercury or Mars retrograde in your chart right now, with Mercury and Mars retrograde, it probably feels quite direct for you, more familiar, as Nina says, and much easier to work with, I would say. Generally, much easier to let that particular planet's energy out. So Christine, great to see you. Hello, MTZ crew. Wow, the energy is crazy, says Christina. And Christina does have a question here. John D, greetings. Great to have you as well. So Christine, the question, which I'll now answer again, since I did it in a monologue by myself without a camera, apparently. So the question is with Mars in Cancer, which placements would have a harder time, if any? For example, a Cancer Sun, or would the Mars retrograde make things more difficult for that person? So that's a really good question. Basically, we want to go by the challenging aspects to that placement. So in this case, if we want to see if this Mars retrograde is going to be particularly difficult for you, I would say let's start with the square. Okay, squares are about integration and more difficult. So basically, if anyone has their sun or moon in Aries or Libra, so Aries and Libra are the squares to the to Cancer, then these are typically going to be the most difficult. Okay, and Margaret, if you could put a link to the chart calculator if you haven't already, just so everyone can check their signs. So yeah, go to the chart calculator, check to see if you have any planets, particularly prominent planets like the sun or moon in Aries or Libra. These will probably be the most difficult. This is where the energy will probably feel like it's clashing the most. The Mars retrograde is really calling you to reflect the most, and a little more difficult to have to embody it and learn those lessons and integrate. But make no mistake that it's extremely constructive to do so. Okay. Now you could also say that the semi-sextiles and the quincunxes are also difficult to integrate. So the semi-sextiles are the ones that are neighboring the sign. So in this case, that would be Gemini or Leo. So also check to see if you have a prominent planet, the sun, the moon, for example, in Gemini or in Leo, particularly well, let's say the middle part of Leo. Let's just say Leo in general. Okay, and that's going to tell you if that's going to be more difficult. And the difficulty there is not so much that it's a clash. The difficulty there is that the Mars retrograde right now is going to really stretch you to integrate a very different energy. And as you can see, Gemini is very different from Cancer. So if you, for example, have a lot of Gemini or that prominent Gemini, it's now, Mars retrograde is now stretching you to go into more Cancer, into the more emotional world, personal world, which is not the most comfortable place for a more mentally stimulated Gemini. Or with Leo, one that's more expressive, more playful. Again, it's going to call you to go back into your 12th house, so to speak, into the area of the unconscious in order to dive deeper into your emotional values and personal values. The quincunxes, which is basically opposite those, which is Sagittarius and Aquarius, will also find perhaps this Mars retrograde difficult because these are also very different. Different in the sense that they do require more of an assimilation of, again, a very different energy. So for example, if you do have that prominent Sagittarius are free spirits. They love to expand their horizons and be open-minded and free. And so the Cancer, the emotional, as you can see, the emotional and the personal, caring, nurturing, not very familiar for Sagittarians. So right now, really good to integrate that for you all Sages out there. And then Aquarius, same thing. Aquarians more aloof, more in their heads, more into the innovative spheres, not one to be very connected to their feelings as much as if it's, if you have a lot of Aquarius. And so integrating that emotional Cancer right now. So you can see it's all about the aspects in terms of how they're configured. Some might say the opposition is difficult, but I actually disagree. I view oppositions as more neutral. And so if you're a Cancer or a Capricorn's the opposite. It might seem like there's a little bit of a rift, but I think it's all about finding that balance between the personal and the productive in that case. All right. Thank you, Christine, for that really good question. All right, so Erica, Alexandria, Mercury, Ophiuchus retrograde, communication is intermittent, not immediate with the Mercury. Yeah, so there's been a lot of things that I've had to kind of like really be patient with the Mercury retrograde, like stuff that hasn't gone through just yet. Me and my wife are actually adopting a dog, and the process has taken like 2 weeks or whatever. We're being patient, but I think that's a big part of the retrograde as well. But hopefully the dog should be here tomorrow, and maybe one day I'll introduce you all to Zeus. And that was his name at the pound, by the way. It's funny, I always come across these astrological names. Well, I'm usually the one naming them astrological things. In fact, this might be the first time that I actually that I didn't name one of my pets that had an astrological name. So Zeus is, the Greek name for Jupiter, for those that don't know, but that's the Jupiter energy basically. But maybe I'll introduce you all to Zeus here one day soon. But Erica, gradually leaving my toxic work environment and working from home with the Mars retrograde. Well, that sounds really good in terms of, leaving some of those toxic environments and working more from home would be great with the Cancer energy. Cancer, again, more of that personal, connected to the personal life kind of energy, and working from home is a great way to do that. All right. So Margaret says, feeling a bit of a slowdown, but lighter energies overall. Yeah, I'm feeling the lighter energies too. The energies are lighter in general. So this week we have a little bit of an opposition between Venus and Mars. So the masculine and feminine archetypes will be in an opposition here this week. But that's, again, oppositions I find more neutral. And so here it's just going to be a good week to integrate the feminine and masculine parts of the self. See if we can integrate those two. Maybe some things coming up in interpersonal relationships that we can also balance with the feminine and masculine parts of ourselves and how we're interacting with others. But other than that, a lot of the energies are more on the supportive side. We have sextiles, we have trines this week, and the full moon doesn't look particularly difficult. It is going to be conjunct that Jupiter in Taurus, but it will be squaring Neptune. So there could be some things maybe in regards to sleep, mental health, spiritual health that we can integrate later in the week. But I am feeling the lighter energy. I think it's because things are just generally easier to work with astrologically than the previous couple months, especially that eclipse month. At least for me it was. And I am expecting that to continue, but it depends on our charts individually, as we've said too. Thanks, Joanna. So my wife, Joanna, Mind Mastery, letting me know that I was talking to myself in the room. All right, gift wrapped. Great to see you. So health stub toe. Oh, I hate that. Was a broken toe and everything hurts. Oh, man. We have a rogue, evil government. The Gaza Holocaust has led to sleeplessness. Yeah, try not to let the collective things weigh you down too much. Gift wrapped. A lot of our perception really determines our reality, and I think there's so much. Just so much, I don't know if you want to call it negativity, but generally just a lot of energy that, is going on collectively that we can give our energy to, and it can really weigh us down, and, it really, just get us caught up into things that are in many ways, not as good areas to focus our attention. But anyways, I hope your toe feels better, and this retrograde turns out a little bit, easier for you, or at least, more constructive. But I will say the Cancer element is about, again, connecting to our bodies and, practicing self-care and self-nurture. So hopefully you're doing that as well. Hey, April Moore, great to see you. Feeling melancholia, natal Sun, Jupiter conjunct in Cancer. Natal Sun and Jupiter in Cancer. Yeah, so, that brings up the point, the Mars retrograde actually being in Cancer means that it is passing over your planets. So it is the more reflective and more kind of internalized time when Mars is actually going over your planets like that. So I hope, thanks for sharing. I hope that, and that's the thing too, is, in society, we do tend to have a negative view of depression or melancholia or sadness or things like this. But these are, of course, extremely important emotions. And, it's not just about being joyful or happy all the time. And, connecting to that world is extremely valuable, extremely important. It's a part of life. And so much good comes from that. So I hope that melancholia, helps you in some way, maybe reconnect to your deeper self or something like that. Is, it's, in my opinion, always very constructive times when we're having these, different varying types of experiences. Karmic Kerfuffle, great to see you. I've been feeling the healing of Fucus energies and loving it. Yeah, the Sun in a Fucus. So hopefully you've been working with that energy. It is the time of the year for healing, most certainly with the Sun here. Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, and there'll be even more of that once Mercury does go direct and back into a Fucus, which I think he might enter back into a Fucus next week. And that should bring even more of that healing energy, and quite constructive, I think, too, because after the retrogrades, things do tend to be more kind of clear, and, we're able to work with the energy much easier. Oh, happy birthday, Erica. Your birthday's on the 12th. Happy birthday. So you're a Sun in a Fucus. Great to hear. Sun conjunct Atria. as I'm continuing with my esoteric studies. Awesome. Sounds like you're really holding that Ophiuchus flame up high there with the esoteric. That's awesome. Book Wayfarer gave just enough time to watch the newest episode. And thanks for the heads up there with the I wasn't checking the chat. I should have been checking the chat. And I did notice, I was like, oh, the chat is actually quite light, because I could see that the scroll bar wasn't moving. And I thought maybe it was just the YouTube interface. Yeah, it's funny that this would happen during a Mercury retrograde. It wouldn't be the first time that I was just talking to a non-recording camera. You know, doing all these videos over the years, I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this. Yeah, not the first time that I've just been talking to myself. But Crystal, great to see you. Melanie, great to see you. Harmony Goddess. Rosella, lots of love from Germany. Thank you so much, Rosella. Glad you could join us. Oh, Jeremiology. I busted my phone screen and having been in silent thought and reflection, thinking through and writing a lot of things. That's I think a great example of how, you know, like I was saying before, so-called negative experiences or challenging experiences, you know, they're just, you know, they're there to shake things up. And I think that's so much what the Mercury retrogrades or any retrogrades are about, is, you know, shaking things up, getting us outside of the comfort zones, outside of the routines, outsides of that way of always doing things, and the same way of doing things, and then help us to go into different worlds. Because it seems like, had you not busted your screen, you know, maybe you wouldn't be having this now, what I think is a great opportunity for being able to write and you know, go into silence, go into reflection, things like that. But I'm really happy that you're seeing that positive side of it there. Yeah, so any planets you have in Cancer, those are the things that are particularly going through that reflection process. The Mars energy is just not, Mars itself is just not easy. So to kind of elaborate on that question earlier, I mean, yeah, if something's in Cancer or in even Capricorn in that case, you know, but maybe especially Cancer, you know, having a what they call a malefic or a challenging energy, which is Mars, going over, and in this case retrograde over a personal planet like Venus, like Jeremiology has, yeah, it can be difficult. It can be difficult. So a question, what does it mean to have a planet in the galactic center? So that would be basically where the sun is here, as you can see, and this would be an Ophiuchus, but the galactic center is that void energy. I don't know how to describe this other than it's this transformative part of the sky. When planets pass over it, we see that the energy is drawn out of them in the sense that they become so-called weakened, they become, you know, diminished, as they say. But then as we emerge out the other side, there is that post-transformation, that freer energy. So someone who has a planet, especially if it's something prominent like the sun or moon, on the galactic center or close, and you can all check to see where the galactic center is in your chart. And even if there is no planet, where it is in your chart in terms of what house is going to tell you a lot. The galactic center is 2 degrees at the end of Ophiuchus with this system, basically where the sun is here in this sky view. Yeah, depending on the planet, that's the energy that is going to be diminished, in the sense that it's good to be non-attached to that energy, to allow the depth of that energy, to allow for that energy to be cleared and released, right, in the void. But then as a result of that, feeling freer. So you have, you know, if you have a planet conjunct the galactic center, you have a very high opportunity, capacity to be more connected to the true self, more free, maybe spiritually free, more redeemed, more integrated with the true self, but it is, of course, requiring, as it has required throughout your life, a sense of connecting to the deeper self, reintegrating with the deeper self, etc. So, Book Wayfarer is asking, hi there, I was wondering about a fucus as the 13th house. My son is in Leo in the 13th house. And I was curious what the houses represent in that regard. Well, me personally, I only use 12 houses. The reason is that you can see here that a fucus and Scorpio do take up the same part of the sky. So where a fucus starts here, Scorpio starts here. Where a fucus ends here, Scorpio ends here. So this is the 8th part of the sky, and they both share it. You can see here with these lines, these are the houses. And if we were to set this to be, let's say starting on Aries, the house is starting on Aries, then this would be the 8th section or the 8th part of the sky. And so for that reason, I use 12, even though that there are actually 13 constellations, but it's because I see Scorpion and Fucus as a dual sign sharing the same part of the sky, but it is the 8th house that they share, the 8th part of the sky that they share. So that would also mean that the first half of the 8th house is more Scorpio kind of energy, and the second half of the 8th house is the more Fucus kind of energy. So in that case, I'm not really able to answer your question because it depends on where the 13th house is. Some put the 13th house between the 8th and the 9th. Some put it after Pisces. There's a lot of different methodologies out there in terms of using that. But yeah, generally speaking, 13th house would be the house of transformation, the house of rebirth, basically all those Fucus things we just talked about, all those galactic center things we just talked about. So Rosella says, Leo rising with Mars in Gemini in the 11th, I feel emotionally exhausted. So yeah, Leo is, again, a little more of that difficult placement for the Cancer, being that in this case, Mars is retrograde in your 12th house, right? Excuse me, not in your 12th house, in your second house, excuse me, but then, no, that's right, in your 12th house, yeah, Leo rising. So Mars retrograde in the 12th house. The 12th house is the most difficult house to work with. That's a time of spiritual reflection, basically. Well, I know I've only been on the live stream for about 15 minutes, but I've been talking for over, 35 minutes now. So we're going to wrap up kind of sort of soon here, not too soon. I'm going to go a little bit over here. My energy levels, just to make it up for all of you who stuck around for that. Again, I really apologize for how long that took, but I'm really happy that there's still a lot of us here. Right, so let's go through these. Yeah, oppositions, they can be difficult. But because it's about balancing opposite energies, but not in the same way that squares, semi-sextiles, and quincunxes are difficult. These are very different energies. For example, think about how similar Cancer and Capricorn are. These are opposite energies, but they're on the same spectrum. They're also the same polarity. So the same polarity. Opposite signs are always the same polarity. So for example, Cancer and Capricorn are both yin energy, right? So water and earth are both yin. So I think oppositions are given a lot more of a negative connotation in modern astrology than I think is symmetrically, like the way that the chart's set up, then the chart is actually showing symmetrically, because the same polarities are actually easier energies to work with. Sextiles are the same polarity, trines are the same element, which is also the same polarity, and oppositions are too, and this is what I think determines a little bit of the easier. So I'm not saying oppositions are easier, I would consider them more neutral, but it's because they share the same polarity, the same energy. Hey Machine, great for you to join, thank you. Oh, so a hermit's rooster's name is Zeus. All right, awesome. Well, maybe one of these days you can, I don't know if it's possible with the rooster, but maybe one of these days they can meet via this live stream. All right, so someone else having sleeplessness. I wonder if that could be because of any 12th house activity, or maybe the squares to Neptune we have this weekend. So again, actually, I don't know if I even said this in the pre-live stream chat I was having with myself, or if I said it to you all, but we have a full moon. I think I said it to you all. We have a full moon this weekend, and it is going to be squaring up to Neptune. So that square up to Neptune is, it's difficult for the Neptune energies. Neptune's about sleep, rest, mental health, spiritual health. So there's likely to be some polarity, some over or under extremes with that. Again, it'll be temporary, I think, just with the full moon, but it's good to see if we can maybe integrate some ways of connecting with our soul, our spiritual selves a little bit more constructively, let's say. And with sleeplessness, I mean, there's only so much we can do, right? I haven't even figured that out myself. I also suffer from insomnia from time to time. But I do find that letting go of it, being okay with it, just lying there, being grateful for whatever rest I have or whatever, like more of that acceptance, I know helps me, at least very personally, with issues with sleep, which is actually kind of a paradox, because the very thing that I'm having an issue with, sleep, is causing me to have, anxiety and all this kind of like wanting to control the situation. But it's actually the lack of control and letting go and accepting it that actually helps with the process. JW, great for you to join us. Anxiety for John D. Yeah, that could also be squares to Neptune. But I have a feeling that might be that Mars retrograde, actually. Or the Mercury. Actually, it could very well be the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, actually. Scorpio is a water sign too, just like 12th house, Neptune, and Pisces. I wonder if that, for those of you having anxiety or sleep issues, that kind of a thing, has it been since the Mercury retrograde? I'm very curious. So Mercury's been retrograde since exactly, when did Mercury go retrograde exactly? Well, it's been, basically, generally, it's been a little over 2 weeks. A little over 2 weeks. So Zena, great for you to join. How will the full moon in Taurus affect Taurus rising? So that'll likely be in your first house. That's going to illuminate the self, illuminate you. It's also going to involve relationships too. So how you relate with yourself, and also how you relate with other, and how you can find that middle ground there. But how it's important to cultivate both aspects of life, your needs, your relationship needs, and to, be true to yourself, aware of your own needs, and at the same time, cultivate where you're likely focused right now with your sun in the 7th in terms of relationships. Oh, so Nina's asking for the discount codes. Yeah, no problem. Margaret, if you could post those. Oh, you did. Okay, thank you, Margaret. Yeah, discount codes are there. Those are always available to everyone who makes the live streams anytime. So Planetary Intelligence says energy has been very introspective and releasing hidden and wedged emotions deep in my occult and psychological studies. That would, I think, definitely be the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. Scorpio is the occult, it is the hidden world, the deeper world. That's why I was thinking it could also be applied to some of the, sleep and even anxiety stuff, as it can be tied to it. Planetary Intelligence says also creative. Yeah, Scorpio can be very creative. But yeah, you have your sun in Ophiuchus, and Chiron and Jupiter in Libra. All right, cool. Queen Cortina, how long will Venus be in Capricorn? Curious about how long we'll be focused on working with our legacy and values. It's been potent. So let's see. So we're kind of, this isn't actually today's sky. I animated it here. Let's, just so everyone can see here. This is the 8th. Venus is just now starting to enter Capricorn, but the question is how long will Venus be in Capricorn? This is about connecting more to responsibility, discipline, patience, and also that energy coming through in our relationships. So basically December 29th, Venus will leave Capricorn there. So between now and December 29th. So Amy says, I have Jupiter in Cancer. How does that play out with Jupiter in opposition? Well, Jupiter's in Taurus, but maybe you mean in conjunction with Mars retrograde. So Mars, if that's the, well, either way, if your Jupiter's in Cancer, then Mars is retrograde over your Jupiter. And that will mean a re-examination of your beliefs, your perspectives on life, how you view life, opportunities in your life that you can maybe reflect on in terms of where you want to put your energy towards those things. So it can be very constructive there. Actually, Jupiter's a more benefic energy, and the Mars retrograde can help you channel that constructively. Kanadea, great to see you. Thank you for joining from Montana. So Lion, Ina, Zion, great for you to join us. Thank you so much. Question is hi Athen, I wonder if you have a quick thought about the cell salt and their celestial energy to the zodiac. Is there a connection you see? Actually, I don't know about that. If you could explain a little more about the cell salt, but no, I'm sorry, I actually can't answer that. I don't know anything about the cell salt. But maybe if you tell me a little bit more about it, I might be able to see what the associations are. Well, thank you, Christine. I hope some of you made the summit. So that was put together by Annalena Fox, and she's part of the True Sidereal community. I wouldn't have even had the time to do something like that, so I'm super grateful that she was there to do that. And shout out to Annalena. She does True Sidereal Human Design, and also gene keys as well, all in True Sidereal format. So they've adapted the human design and the gene keys to not be tropical as it would normally be used, but True Sidereal. But anyway, she did put together that Sidereal Summit, True Sidereal Summit. It turned out very well, lots of responses. I can't remember how many people she had, but it was a lot of people. And so she's going to keep doing that every year. And I'm guessing it'll probably be around this time. So if so, I'll definitely be making more and more announcements about that. But it's really cool that we have a yearly summit now for everyone in the True Sidereal to get involved. All right, so we'll go ahead and conclude it here. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Again, apologies for joining so late. I'll just blame it on the Mercury and Mars retrograde. But yeah, everyone have a fantastic week. Thank you so much, as always, and I'll see you all next week for the next live stream. All right, have a good one, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.